everyone, and welcome to A Broad's Way Through Broadway. I'm your host, the Broad, Allison Chicorel, and today we are discussing Bye Bye Birdie, the musical. Here to join me is TC DeWitt. Oh, he's dancing. You guys can't see, but he's dancing.
It's true. The spirit of me dancing was coming through, and I wanted to be like underscoring this and be like but yes, hello.
We should put some Bye Bye Birdie underscore underneath that dancing.
I think so. Yes, hello, Allison.
Hi, thanks for joining me.
I'm thrilled to be here. This is very exciting. This is a crossover event here at the podcast. This is amazing.
Yes, that's super special. So for those of you not familiar with this show, Bye Bye Birdie, it debuted in 1960. It is very 60s score. It's very 60s feel to it. Featured an awesome cast of Dick Van Dyke. Yes. Truth, that's a real thing. Cheetah Rivera, Paul Lindy, awesome cast. I believe this was one of Dick Van Dyke's kind of like first big deal things, kind of discovery sort of thing. The book was written by Michael Stewart with music by Charles Strauss and lyrics by Lee Adams. Nominated and won a Tony Award for Best Musical, Best Direction and Choreography of a Musical, and Dick Van Dyke won a Tony for Best Performance by an Actor in a musical. Yes. Love him. Love him. Man, we should do an episode just about Dick Van Dyke.
Sign me up. I'm excited to talk specifically about this show because about him.
The Bye Bye Birdie episode might turn into the Dick Van Dyke episode featuring a little bit of Bye Bye Birdie. So, TC, tell me a little bit about your relationship with Bye Bye Birdie. Have you seen it, the movies, seen it on Broadway, seen a school production, been in it, directed it? What is your relationship with the show?
I was in this show.
Who are you?
In this show. I played Albert.
Oh.
Now, and it was directed by a friend of ours, Jenny Hoffman. I knew of the show just by name, but I'd never seen it. I'd never seen the films. And the audition came up for it at the community theater out in Burlington, the wonderful Malthouse Theater.
Yeah.
And I had done a show there previously, so I wanted to just go back and play for the summer. So I went and auditioned, and I only read the description, and I tried to audition for Birdie because he's the title character, and he's the cool Elvis Conrad Twitty.
Yeah.
You know? And I auditioned and got cast as Albert. I was like, oh, I'm the manager. Not realizing without looking at the show that he's the darn main character.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, Conrad's the title character.
The title character, but it's one of those interesting ones where the actual principal role is not the name of the character in the title.
Correct.
Misleading like that.
Yeah. So I got Albert, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. And then I looked into the show and found that not only did Dick Van Dyke play the character, but he had originated the character.
Yep.
He is the original Albert. And this was the dream come true of a lifetime because the Dick Van Dyke show specifically was so formidable for me because I would sleep over at my grandma's house. I'd watch Nick at Night, and the Dick Van Dyke show was my show. Like that's there are things from that show to this day that I reference and it was just my dream to be Bert and Mary Poppins. And I wanted, so to find out that Dick Van Dyke was Albert, I was like, this is it. This is my chance. I crafted my performance to be Dick Van Dyke. And for you as a theater person, for our theater listeners here, it's pretty typical to think back at a show and go, I should have done this.
Yes.
Right? There's always those little, not regrets per se, but just sort of I didn't give it all, oh, you know what? That was an opportunity I missed. Bye Bye Birdie is the only show that I can say without a doubt that I gave 100% and did everything that I wanted to achieve.
Wow. I wish I could say that about the production I was in. I played Kim McAfee when the character is supposed to be 15, I believe, 15 or 16. I think she's supposed to be 15, but she wants to be 30. Yeah. And I played her at the age of 21, and I would go back and change. Oh gosh, I would go back and change everything I did. I would go back.
I bet you were
would go
great.
back and change everything I did. I was. It was my first time having a principal role in a non-school production. I had participated in like local theaters and community theaters outside of school a number of times growing up, but usually, as like a kid in the ensemble, as a kid in the town, a townsperson, little kid roles. This was my first time having a principal role in something besides a college show or a high school show. So that was really exciting. And I would look back and go, yep, I'm not happy with that. Let's redo everything with the note of do it better.
Yeah. I would love to do the show again. I even went so far as Put on a Happy Face, which is one of the big songs from the show. I knew that song. That one's so ingrained into pop culture, whether you've even seen the show or not.
Most people don't know that song is from Bye Bye Birdie.
Bye Bye Birdie. Oh yeah, it's one of those shows that just transcended being a theater song, and but that song, as it's written, has a huge dance break in it. Like the actual how it's supposed to be presented is there's a massive dance, like just the band just keeps playing, and it's all and Jenny was gonna cut it from the show. She was like, I'll just trim it down to like a few measures. And I was like, no, I will learn every step of this. And I have no dance training other than my musical theater upbringing, right? And thinking I know how to tap dance. I can fake it. And I was like, no, don't cut it. I will learn every step of this song. And I busted my butt and I learned. I think she still did trim out maybe a third of it, but
she probably didn't tell you. Like maybe he won't notice. But we gotta get him done with this.
This song just keeps going, and I learned the full dance. And there's a couple moves from it I still just have muscle memory for.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So you played Albert. And you were not familiar with the show beforehand, obviously, as we talked about.
I didn't.
Have you seen any other productions of it since then?
Yes, I saw a college production of it, and they tried to modernize it, and that was a very poor choice.
No, that doesn't. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be like in that kind of 50s, 60s style, Yeah,
it was a very poor choice. They tried to make Conrad a Justin Bieber type.
Nope.
And it did not work. And
forgive my snobbiness, but my answer is no.
You are correct. There's another a fine tradition of being in theater. If you've ever seen Waiting for Guffman, surely you've seen Waiting for Guffman. Yes. It's that attitude of like, if they saw us, we could be on Broadway, right? Like you just have this love and affection for when you're in the moment. And so it's hard not to be a little like, well, we wouldn't have done that.
Right.
That's not the way we did it.
I used to have an actual like fear of whenever I was in a show, if I had friends or colleagues or family, anyone who I say family, the only family I have that is a theater person is my dad. But friends who have been in the show before and I'm in the show now, and whether or not I invite them, because I just have this fear that they're gonna come watch the show and they're gonna do nothing but compare.
Yeah, and it's hard not to. It's hard not to.
And they have their connection with their show, so there always is a natural, understandable bias there, no matter what. Like I try to keep myself like really apart. Like there are definitely shows I've been in where I would go and see a new production of it, and I can say this was so much better than what we did, and but I can put myself aside. I think it's a director skill type of thing, maybe that I get that from. But a lot of people can't do that. Understandably, they just have this connection, and it's hard to not compare directly and disagree with like, well, we did it this way and it was better, and it's a natural thing. And Bye Bye Birdie is a really popular choice for schools and community theaters for a lot of good reasons. So there's constantly, there's constantly productions of this going on. So it's like
you could probably find one right now.
Probably. Yeah, absolutely. In a school
actually,
or
you probably
theater.
Couldn't find one right now, seeing as the era we live in. But
well, yeah.
all things being equal, you could find one right now.
In the COVID after times, they're everywhere.
I'm sure eventually you'll get to it on the show because it's a
Mhm.
standard of theater. But Grease, I feel like Bye Bye Birdie is superior to Grease in that they're similar because they're similar eras. They have a
Mhm.
similar fun style to them. At least
Mhm.
the high school productions of Grease, which are a little more tame than the actual version. And I feel like Bye Bye Birdie has more fun to be had in it because there's essentially three stories happening at once with the kids, the parents, and Albert and his mom, like Albert's story. That
Yeah.
there's more to the show as opposed to
There's an
something like
A story and a B story, and
and
there's
some
also
subplots.
yeah, there's a lot more going on, and the casting flexibility is there's a more versatile cast. You know, Grease, you pretty much need your teens and a couple teachers, and you're
Mhm.
good. We don't. I
Mhm.
don't think we even ever see like we don't see like little siblings. We
Parents or
don't see
anything.
parents. We don't see anything like that. It's pretty much you need your teens and a couple adults who look like teacher age, and that's it.
Yeah.
Bye Bye Birdie, you have Kim McAfee's family, you got her little brother, you got all of her friends at school,
Mhm.
you got all the parents, you have the Albert's mother who's an older person,
Yep.
so you kind of got you
Oh.
need I mean, it could be a casting nightmare depending on your turnout, but it's a really
Yeah.
fun opportunity because there's roles for anyone, age and gender. So
The
I have appreciation for that over Grease too.
yeah,
So
and there's a lot of opportunity in to steal the show from any place.
oh
Like
gosh,
your
yes.
Kim could steal the show or your Rosie could steal it. Like I mean, she's got the
Mhm.
showstopper, right?
Yep.
Like what did I ever see in him? If
Mhm.
if I may for a moment, let's get a little personal here. Uh,
Yeah.
Me and I played Albert and Rosie's the love interest in the show, and in hindsight, I can laugh at this, but at the time, it was a little bit of a nightmare. We were sort of seeing each other off stage, and mid production, that all crumbled.
Oh,
So the day after that fell apart, we did a performance, and she said, saying, "What did I ever see in him?"
and it was
with
real.
so much fire
Oh my
that
gosh.
I was backstage feeling it. I was like, "Ouch, ooh." But also, God, she is slaying it tonight. This is amazing.
You could walk out and be like, I'm the reason that she just
You're
killed that
you're
number. Like,
no,
you've me to thank for that.
she was incredibly talented and boy did she method that one. I'm actually
That's
tearing
so
up laughing
funny.
right now because it was such a moment of like typical theater. You have your
Yeah.
back behind the stage romance and
It's like,
it's a show about a guy who won't commit to his damn girlfriend.
that's so funny. Oh.
I
So
hope she doesn't listen to this. She'd be like, that son of a bitch.
no, she'll probably remember. She'll probably remember and be like, "Oh, that was a really good performance."
That was
Like,
that was.
you're welcome. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So casting. So we obviously talk about Dick Van Dyke, obviously
Mhm.
as Albert.
Oh, sure.
And I totally get what you mean too with that. When you found out that the role that you received in the show was a role that Dick Van Dyke played and originated and everything, that
Yeah.
just it immediately makes it like more exciting to play. I'm the same way with roles. I'm a big Dolly Parton fan and
Mhm.
Megan Hilty fan, and they both have played Dora Lee in 9 to 5. So naturally, I'm just obsessed with that part because it's like two of like my goddess role models have played it. So I totally understand like that sort of thing. But playing around with casting,
Mhm.
tell me what you think of this. I personally would think maybe not now, but in his youth, Nathan Lane as Albert.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could totally
What
see
about
that.
as him as Harry McAfee now?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Nathan Lane, but that a younger Nathan Lane playing a very put upon Albert. Jason Alexander played Albert in
I
the
liked
more
Jason
modern movie.
Alexander's.
Yeah.
Nothing compared to Dick Van Dyke, but he was
No,
nice.
not at all.
Yeah.
But Jason Alexander and Nathan Lane have a Venn diagram crossover, so
Oh,
I can
really?
totally see. Like I feel like they can play similar types pretty
Yeah.
nicely. But Nathan Lane playing Albert more in his 30s, yeah. But now playing because Paul Lynde played Mr. McAfee.
Yes.
Kids, what's the matter with kids these days? Like Paul Lynde has this like aggressive personality. It's fantastic for the part.
That awesome
And
voice that's so unique.
Yes.
Like
and imagining Nathan Lane playing Mr. McAfee now.
Yeah.
Right on. That is spot on casting.
Yeah. Good casting. So the only other ones that kind of stick out in my mind for this is, and she's not super well known. I actually follow her on Instagram, but her name is Lauren Zachrin. She was in the Harry Potter musical recently, and I think she has a couple like Broadway and off-Broadway credits. She's not a big name on Broadway. She should be. She's marvelous. She was discovered on the MTV reality TV show The Search for Elle Woods, when they had a bunch of girls come in and go through like this process to be the next Elle Woods on Broadway and Legally Blonde the musical. And she was the second. I think she was the second runner-up. And I think she would be the world's most perfect Kim McAfee. Like her voice and her style, like everything about her is just super perfect. She's similar to Laura Osnes, who actually did play Kim McAfee at the Kennedy Center. But in my personal opinion, Laura Osnes' voice totally beautiful, but Lauren's is just a little bit less mass-produced. She has just a little bit more unique tone to her voice, which I have appreciation for, because I love voices that are like Paul Lynde, like a voice where you hear it and you know who that is.
It doesn't have that generic and just tangentially that's something like everyone loves Spring Awakening. I couldn't tell you one distinct voice in Spring Awakening because they all just sound like Broadway voices.
Right. Yeah.
So that's interesting. I'll have to look up Lauren here, but that she has a unique quality to her voice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, but it's unique gorgeous, as opposed to a lot of others where it's just like, she sounds like an ingenue. It's super pretty, super strong, lovely, but I don't know if I could necessarily just pick her out if I heard her.
And for a role like Kim, who's supposed to be this very young, trying to imagine she can be older and respectable, it's nice to give not an unrefined sound to her, but a distinct sound.
That is such a good point about, as I noticed this in the musical Light in the Piazza. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But Kelly O'Hara was in Light in the Piazza, and there's this character who's supposed to, she's a lot like Kim. She's young, but she wants to be more grown up, and she wants to experience life and everything. And there's something so approachable about a character like that you almost don't want the singing to be so perfect. Because you want her to be real. You want her to feel more real. And there's something about an overly trained voice that takes away that reality. And finding that balance, especially in a show like this where the characters all have like pretty very distinct personalities, you almost
it's very cartoonish.
Yeah, you want that realness, as opposed to like this professional singer. She's perfect at singing on every single note ever.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that sort of performance, but with someone like Kim as a character, much as we just said, the cartoonish nature of all the characters, you want someone who can believably pull that off. Like still be amazing, but because like Rosie, that's who you want to be like the blow the doors off the place.
Right.
Showstopper right there.
Yes, I totally agree. The only other one that I would play around with is, and I don't know, I don't always keep up with how like people are aging or whatever, but Santino Fontana as Conrad Birdie, I think would be kind of fun. He might be a little long in the tooth for it now. I don't know how he's aged, but I'm thinking about like when he was on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend or when
that I was trying to put the face to the name now.
Yeah, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. He's the main love interest in the first few seasons of that show. He was also the voice of Hans in Frozen, the movie Frozen. And I just think he's got that kind of like, I've heard him sing a number of different styles, and I think he's got kind of that like, Elvis-y kind of heart.
Gotta have that swagger.
Yeah. I think he would do, like I said, he maybe not now, because I think he might be a little up there, and Conrad should probably be like, I think he's supposed to be like in his early 20s, mid 20s maybe.
Yeah. He should be.
Yeah. But I thought that would be kind of fun. Is there anyone who you would like to see like in any of these roles?
I'm not. I think more towards because myself, I never though I was Albert. That's a leading man. I'm much more of a character actor. I like playing
Ditto.
the weirdos. I like playing the sidekicks and the. So I think something more like Mama. So Albert's mom in it was like when we did the show. It was Annie. I don't know if I won't say her last name, but to this day, she's still my mama. I say Merry Christmas to her. She says Happy Birthday to me. Like she was hilarious. And that's a role that doesn't require a massive amount of singing. Not that Annie couldn't sing, but like Mama is there to yuck it up and just ham
Scene
it up.
stealer.
Scene stealer. Like at one point when Albert is finally standing up to her, when we did the show, on our set, we're in the McAfee kitchen, and Annie just is like, "That's fine, that's fine." She kneels down in front of the stove and sticks her head in it. Like, Mama, come on. And the last night, every night I like played a little differently, and she has her head in the oven, and I just stood there with my arms crossed, just letting the audience roll while she's like, and I let her stay there so long. She keeps her head in there, and she reached up and started like reaching for the dials to like turn the stove on. It was just so. Having that role, like thinking of someone who has the blowhard show like stealing comedic chops, I more think like, oh, who's right for that? So it's and I think of someone like Megan Mullany would be like just her voice, her presence, and it's like, no, that's fine. Go ahead, just break my heart. I'm just go ahead, flip the dial. Like I can totally see her because she can sing, and obviously,
yeah.
But that comedic insanity.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. I love that.
We'll have our Dreamcast here, and this is more inside baseball talking. Actually, I shouldn't be making a sports reference in a Broadway conversation. For the studio demands it, or the other show that I come from, often we will Dreamcast a show and then I'll make a fake poster for it.
Oh, I've seen those.
And I'm like, maybe I should do a fake poster for some of these shows.
Those end up, there's a Facebook group called All Things Broadway, and people share those fake kind of posters and media all the time, and people go, is this real? I can't tell you how many ones I've seen for Wicked the movie with the cast, with the supposed dream cast. And I mean, I've always loved the game. I do it in real life with my friends and like the actor friends and stuff like that. We do it and wait for someone to start a theater company and just do that exact cast. But it's fun to do it with like Hollywood stars and Broadway stars and just put together like that kind of cast.
The perfect show.
It's super, super fun. Well, we have time for a couple of fun facts about Bye Bye Birdie before we take our break here. And I actually just found this out, but I say I just found this out. It's possible that I knew this and forgot.
You just didn't file it away. It fell on the floor.
Forgot. When I learn something new, it pushes old stuff out of my head. But apparently,
that's why I don't know French anymore.
Apparently, the plot was inspired in 1958 when Elvis was drafted, and the media lost their minds. I didn't know that.
Yes. So funny, it's typical of these productions. They cast Conrad as an Elvis type,
right?
But he's not. He's actually is inspired by Conway Twitty, which. Thank you, Family Guy, for putting him on some people's radars. Ladies and gentlemen, Conway Twitty. And then, yes, let's hear this dumb song for 5 minutes. But it's typical to cast Conrad as an Elvis type. And that's because the story itself was inspired by, as you just said, Elvis joining the war effort, joining the army during World War II.
Yeah. That's interesting. You had the better fun fact in there, is that he's not actually it's not supposed to be he's like Elvis. He's this other person, but he's always typecast. They always typecast someone who can sing like Elvis and can be like Elvis.
Yeah, and I think that's the smarter way to go in terms of
not Justin Bieber.
Right. Oh God. Boy, yeah. No, such a bad idea. My God. Ugh. What? Don't modernize. Not every show needs to be modernized. Some shows just play them as they're written.
And you're talking to the queen of modernizing shows over here, and even I don't agree with that. And I am a modernizing, crazy person because of usually for budgetary reasons, usually for costume easing and budget stuff. That modernizing just everything's more accessible, but only if it works. Only if the show is not overflowing with references and
But
some shows are timeless. Some shows you can place them in the 60s and it worked. You can place them in the 80s and it worked. You can place them in 2020 and it works. Well, not 2020. 2020 is a weird year.
No. Shit, like Romeo and Juliet in 2020. Romeo, you stay down there. Okay, do not climb this balcony right now. You stay down there, socially distanced.
Oh my gosh.
So Elvis, there you go.
Thank you for the brilliant idea, though, of Romeo and Juliet, some sort of parody of that in COVID times with masks and social distancing, because Shakespeare is public domain, so I'm all over that right now. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks. I'm happy to do it.
Thanks for that. So one other fun little ditty here is that there was a star of the West Side Story, Rita Moreno. She was supposed to be in the movie, but was replaced by Janet Leigh. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Boy, do you want to talk about the movie after the break?
Yeah.
Like more specifically? Okay.
Yeah, that seems like a good spot to stop. And then when we come back, we can talk about, there was the 1995 movie with Jason Alexander. And then Dick Van Dyke's, what year was that one?
1963, I want to say.
We will check that during the break.
Fact check it. There's no way to know.
All right. So sit tight and we'll be right back in a few minutes after this word from our friends at 65 Media.
Welcome to our new podcast. Welcome to our new podcast.
This isn't working.
Agreed. I think we're going to have to do it turn by turn.
Well, now that you mention it, we are a brand new RPG video game podcast.
Our very existence hinges on turn-based gaming.
So join us on the Turn by Turn podcast, where we'll be talking about
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Shining Force, Mother, and so many more.
It's your turn to come and join us.
Hey, this is TC.
And this is Jim from the Studio Demands It podcast.
Where every episode we take a demand from a hypothetical studio,
which could be you,
and challenge ourselves to conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film based on the stipulations
or the demands
we are given. We talk about movies all the time. Particularly, we complain about the choices made in the films we've seen.
We're nerds like that.
And, of course, like any good nerd does, we automatically assume that we could do better.
Even with the demands and restrictions that clearly must have been put on by a production.
So head on over to studiodemandsit.com and listen to our previous library of episodes. Our library of previous episodes. Our precious library, Jim. Our library of precious episodes.
You're a pirate, Smeagol.
Okay. So head on over to studiodemandsit.com to listen to our library of episodes.
And submit your demand for a future episode, too.
So go do that.
Okay, bye.
Okay, end of ad.
And we're back. I hope you enjoyed your intermission. Welcome back to A Broadway Through Broadway. We are discussing Bye Bye Birdie over here with TC, who is dancing again.
Still dancing. I actually haven't stopped this entire time. I've been doing because I'm actually doing the full choreography from Put on a Happy Face.
Love that.
And that's how long it goes.
That's how long that dance break is, and that's why it often gets cut. The instrumentalists don't want to play it, and the dancer doesn't want to dance it. So we left off with a fun fact about the movie, the 1963, right?
63, yeah, I was right. I
1963 movie of Bye Bye Birdie. with Dick Van Dyke and Anne Margaret. Janet Leigh.
That was a fun fact that so it was Maria, right, from West Side Story was going to be.
Yes.
I mean, Janet Leigh did a perfectly fine job.
Janet Leigh did great, yeah, but she was not as well known for her musical abilities as Rita Moreno was. We also had Maureen Stapleton as Mae Peterson, as Albert's mom in that, which is super fun.
Mama.
I remember when I got cast as Kim, I had not seen the movie. I was familiar with the show, but I had not seen the movie. And my mom recommended it to me because I told her, I was like, yeah, I guess there's 2 movies, but I wanted to watch the one with Dick Van Dyke. And she's like, oh, well, the old 60s sex symbol is playing the part that you got. So, and then she had a bunch of, inappropriate comments about it. Like, so how many boys do you kiss in this show? And do you get undressed during this show? And it's funny because there is a scene where Kim changes clothes like on stage while singing, like you do. Like you do. But I watched the Anne Margaret version and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the movie a lot. I'm more focused on Dick Van Dyke in that show rather than the part I was supposed to be researching.
Well, Dick Van Dyke was not a fan of how the movie turned out. I don't know if you know
I recall hearing that, yeah.
He was against the casting of Anne Margaret. Now, one could look at that from a perspective of ego in that he didn't want to be overshone by someone who was more famous than him. But what his reasoning behind it was, Kim's not supposed to be a sex symbol. Don't cast a sex symbol to play this and play it so provocatively. It's a very... if anyone's watched Mad Men, there's in season 2 of Mad Men, they discuss Bye Bye Birdie and Sal, the art director, talks about wanting to form a commercial around Anne Margaret's performance, and he performs it like he gets in his wife's face and does the whole thing, and that's when she realizes that he might not be straight. And it's very sexy and suggestive.
Yeah.
And Dick Van Dyke was like, no, that's not no.
Well, and coming from the original cast, I can totally understand that because Kim's whole storyline is that she's 16, but she wants to be a woman. She wants to be what Anne Margaret is in real life. But in order to grasp that, to cast someone who is actually naturally kind of exudes that type of personality, it's kind of backwards. It's like you want someone who's got that natural awkwardness, that natural, ingenuity, and a little bit of discomfort.
You don't want the full confidence of someone who knew how hot she was at the time.
Right. Because that's what makes Kim so cute is that she thinks she's all this, but she's really just a silly little kid. Like,
yeah.
Which Anne Margaret does not.
So there's a lot of contention behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That being said, the Dick Van Dyke film is very good.
It's
a great time capsule of the era. The music pops like it's that. I used to, when I was younger, I'd watch that Bye Bye Birdie and the original How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying feature film. Because they're so similar in aesthetic, in that 60s colorful cartoonish vibe.
It is good. I don't remember who's all in the 1995 version. Jason Alexander, Cheetah Rivera.
Vanessa Williams.
Plays Rivera was in the original. Yeah. Vanessa Williams. That's right.
Yeah, and then let's see.
Tyne Daly?
Yes, Ty Daly plays May. Annie Phillips, who played, I was praising her before. I wonder how much she modeled her performance after Ty Daly.
Yeah.
George Wendt is, sorry to say, to speak ill of someone, not very well cast as Mr. McAfee. George Wendt from Cheers, he's Norm. Very funny man when he's given the right material, but to the just great. Paul Lynde playing George, like to
that's
give,
the tricky thing is that, like we were talking about earlier, you can't help but compare, you know, and that makes it really hard. That makes it really hard when you have like those kind of shoes to fill.
Yeah. Still a fun show. I think that one, I've only seen the Jason Alexander one once. And I thought, okay, this is good. This is fine. This is as good as any community theater, high school production. Like there's nothing, it doesn't blow the doors off or game change anything. It's fine.
I remember watching both and wanting to watch the Dick Van Dyke one first because I wanted to see Dick Van Dyke. And watching Anna Margaret going, okay, I'm going to do like everything different.
None of this.
But then watching the 1995 version, just out of curiosity, I found the 1995 version is more true to the stage script.
Yes.
The Dick Van Dyke movie went a different way with a handful of things. Still good, and I still preferred that one. But as far as what's closer to the stage script, if anyone out there is recently cast in Bye Bye Birdie and wants to check it out, watch the 1995 one for an accurate, you know,
of what you're about to do.
You're about to do. But I did feel that both like Anne Margaret and the actor who played Kim in the 1995 one, she also was, in my opinion, she was better than Anne Margaret. But I do still feel like she also was just too mature for the role, and I was distracted by that. But I'm also, again, comparing them to like everything that I wanted to do. Again, comparing, and that's not always fair. So
it's but it is a matter of like it's China Phillips, I believe, is the actress's name.
Oh yeah.
And she was the sexy blonde in Caddyshack in the 80s, and so she was too old for the part. Which not to be, I'm not degrading anyone who's older playing a younger part. That can happen.
That happens constantly.
Yeah, but it's a matter of being able to tap into that younger, but as we discussed earlier with the original cast.
Exactly.
The original Kim. Yeah.
Exactly. Bye Bye Birdie. So production aspects. Was your production, what was your like tech situation? Like obviously there's not a ton of like, you know, special effects or anything like that needed for this show, which is kind of nice. It all takes place in a basic little town, which is nice, but there are a handful of different locations. You got the McAfee house, you got Kim's bedroom, you got Albert's office, you have the kind of park area where they have Conrad appear for the first time, you have the train station.
Like the town square, the train station.
And the bar for a scene, the ice shack.
We so to show just how much obsession and devotion I had to like making this, like, because I'm like, I'm gonna do Dick Van Dyke proud. I designed the set.
Really?
I designed the set for the show. So
what was your set like?
We did a rotating set.
Nice.
So I pitched it to Jenny as just like, hey, we could rotate this set so we have the house, and then the other side could be the train station. You could split the difference, and then you have a room down the middle to go from bar and wherever Rosie's calling. And it certainly, I've seen rotating sets that are phenomenal, and I'm not even going to say that ours was like as good as any bigger theater could do, but the Mall House is 100-seat theater, so it's a much smaller stage. And so we did a rotating set and used the movement of the set for like dance breaks in between like scene changes, so that we never cut to black except for intermission and when the curtain dropped at the end. And
nice.
it was very exciting to be trusted to design. I'd never designed a set before, but to go like, all right, here's the idea. We'll put this sucker on wheels and we rotate the thing. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so at the end when Mama is on the train and the train leaves without Albert, she's just standing at the top of the set, and then the set rotates and she's like, Albert.
Awesome. That's
how about you though? Like,
yeah, that's kind of similar to an extent. We had kind of multiple pieces, but we did do a rotating set for part of it. We had the ice house where Kim and Conrad go. where all the teenagers go to be naughty. On one side, it was the kind of ice shack sort of idea, and then when you turned it around, it was a piece that had like a platform on it with a little fence in front that we used for a train station. And so it just sort of suggested that scene. And then in the back, the bigger part of the set was on one side it was Kim's. It was 2 levels. So the upper level was Kim's bedroom, and the lower level on one side was Albert's office, and the lower level on the other side was the McAfee kitchen.
Great.
And then for like the scenes like the telephone song, that's kind of like none of those places. We just brought the curtain down and it was just a blank
Spotlight.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a lot of fun. And then I think for the bar scene, I think we just had a pull-out bar with some stools. And it was, So that, I feel like, coming from, for those of you who haven't heard other episodes, I run a very, very small little, like, cute little black box theater in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, 54 seats, real intimate little space. So I'm always looking for ways to work around shows that require multiple locations in the
Simple
show.
Simple set.
Exactly. It used to be that I only would consider shows that, have only like 2 or 3 locations that we can figure out how to do that. And then I started running out of shows and wanted to do all these other shows. So the answer became, I will do whatever show I want and I will figure out a way to make it work. And because I do want to do Bye Bye Birdie at some point, and it is sort of a technical question of like, okay, there are a lot of different locations in that show. They're all like pretty basic places, but they are definitely very different. And I don't have a set design for that show. Maybe I'll ask you.
I guess maybe I could help out
when the
there.
time comes, since you're good at coming up with a set design for a small theater doing that big show.
Yeah, I've done more than one simplified set. And honestly, this is a show and a conversation for another day. The Fantastics is one of my all-time favorite shows.
Well, Fantastics is the easiest set in the world.
So any show that I've ever had a hand in from the production side of things, I've always thought, let's let the actors and the costumes and the music and everything do the work.
Yep.
Let's make this set as simple as it needs to be.
Yep.
Impressive sets are incredible. Like, don't get me wrong. I've seen a Sweeney Todd set that's blew my gourd, but like when you have a small stage space, it's like, let's utilize spotlights and gels.
But that's interesting that you say that, because we have actually gotten over at the Box Theater on 3 separate occasions, we have gotten a comment from reviewers, different reviewers too, who said something in their review, something along the lines of, I loved that nothing distracted me from the actor's performance. And they're basically, which was their nice way of saying, the theater didn't really have much of a set, but they twisted it into something complimentary. Yeah. And it's like, and I love that, because that was my goal. It was like, I don't want the shows to be about, I don't want people walking out going, ooh, that set was really cool. I want people going out like, this person was amazing and I love what this person did.
So-and-so stole the show. Yeah, absolutely. But I think Bye Bye Birdie's good for that. So those listening who've are considering shows or are looking to design a show around, I think you can have a simple set for this, and I would love to. I would totally have a conversation with you off mic later about like, all right, let's consider the limitations and what can be done there.
Yeah,
because I know I've been to your theater. It's a fantastic little place.
Oh, thank you.
I don't mean that as it's little, but it's because it's small.
I call us small but mighty.
Yeah, you are. That place is great. I've seen a couple shows there.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember which shows I've seen there. That's not good.
I don't know.
But
You borrowed our space for filming one of the 48-hour shows once.
Yes.
I don't know if you actually saw one of the shows there, but you were in that space at the end of a show once to come in and film for the 48-hour show.
Well, regardless, I love the space.
Yay! So tech aspects, I mean, there's ways to work around it. I think this is a great show, as we somewhat already discussed. It's such a great show for schools and for community theaters, because there are so many fun roles. You can make you can have a smaller ensemble, you can have a bigger ensemble. You have that flexibility, but there's so many fun characters. And that's been a topic of conversation a couple of my episodes now, how fun these shows are where there's not just, a male lead, a supporting male lead, female lead, supporting female lead, and then an ensemble of like 45.
Yeah.
This is one of those shows where it's like there's so many fun character pies.
Yeah, and there's plenty of shows that have that standard 4-act structure, but the shows with like Bye Bye Birdie, it's kind of what I was knocking Grease versus this, and to go back to what I said at the beginning of the episode of Bye Bye Birdie having more to offer. And it's because it has every character in the show could steal the show, and those are my favorite shows.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had our Conrad Birdie. He stole a scene in something that was like totally not even pivotal to the plot whatsoever. But there's the scene where he spends the night at the McAfee's house, and he comes downstairs in his robe. And Kim and all her friends and her family are there to like watch him. He's gonna come into the kitchen, and he's just gonna be in the kitchen. I don't know what he's gonna do, but let's just watch him because he's amazing. And our actor came in super slow, like he's hungover, so tired, and his robe is like partially open. He looks like hell. He comes in super slow, waddles over to the fridge, opens the fridge, takes this can of, we don't know if it's beer or soda. Obviously it was soda for the production, but who knows if he's having a beer at 9 a.m. And drinks the whole thing, crunches the bottle, and lets out the biggest belch. And then waddles on over to Mr. McAfee, call me for dinner, and waddles out. The whole scene, like, I could describe it in 2 seconds, but the whole scene took probably 4 minutes. It was so slow and long. And the girls are just like sitting there like totally like frozen in awe. And it's like little things like that. Then there's so many there's opportunities like that for Albert's mom and for Mr. and Mrs. McAfee. Kim's friend
Hugo.
Ursula. Hugo, right? We haven't talked about Hugo. Like a smaller role, but totally a potential scene stealer and someone who will just melt your heart.
Oh man, our Hugo was great. He had a little lisp on him. He was so great. It was perfect.
That's perfect.
But we haven't really talked too much about the music in here. There's some great.
Oh my gosh.
Put on a happy face. Sure. Talk to me.
Got a lot of living to do is another.
That's it. That was one I was.
Got a lot of living to do is another one that I think a lot of people know the song but don't know that it's from the show because it's been redone for just like as regular music. They don't know it's associated with the show. Yeah.
Kids, the telephone call that opens up the show, like, hello, Mr. McAfee.
Okay,
Can I
so
speak to Barbara Ann?
Telephone that's a tough one for me because I have this habit of getting cast in roles where the best number in the show doesn't feature my character that I'm cast. I have like that curse on me. Like, I was hoping anything goes, and I wanted to be. I was hoping anything goes, and I really, really, really wanted to be in Blow Gabriel Blow, and I was like, I'm like seriously, like the one cast member that's not in that number. And it's the same thing with this one. I was Kim. She's the only character that's not in the stinking telephone song, and my telephone song is my favorite number.
Hugo steals that song just because of his squeaky non-singer voice. Hello, Mr. Can I speak to Barbara Sue?
Oh my gosh. For those of you who don't know, it's an adorable number. The show opener, it's a prop heavy number because all the kids in the ensemble need a little 50s telephone. And the entire thing is a conversation among like these kids on the phone, and they're all like calling this person, hanging up, and then calling this person, talking about how Kim and Hugo are now, a couple. And it's just, it's so simple, but so funny and cute and fun. I don't know. I love that number. I think it's super fun. I want to choreograph it at some point, which I will when my theater does it. But it's such an interesting number. Who
was the composer on this? Like who wrote? You had mentioned at the top end.
Yeah.
This isn't. You had said off mic. This is not someone who has a wide library
Right. So Charles Strauss is wrote the music for this, and unlike like Alan in our last episode, Alan Menken, with Little Shop of Horrors, it's like, okay, well, he's, I can without thinking list off 25 other scores he's written.
Sure.
Charles Strauss, he's got Bye Bye Birdie, and he's got Annie.
A little show called Annie.
Little show called Annie. Have you heard of it?
I'll look it up tomorrow. You're welcome. I'll be here all night. Thank you. Yes.
Nice.
Correct.
He has obviously done. He has a handful of other credits, but it's interesting that so many of our other Broadway composers usually have at least 4 or 5 big name shows under their belt that were Tony nominees or Tony winners, or just like big name shows, big successful shows. And Charles Strauss over here with Bye Bye Birdie, which is huge, and Annie, which is enormous, and then everything else he had. I think his next biggest credit would probably be the musical Applause, which also is not a super well-known show. I know it because I'm a huge nerd, but even a lot of other musical theater nerds I know are not even necessarily familiar with that show. Everything
picture
else,
the poster.
Yeah, right. everything else he's written is. I looked up his credits just to be sure, but I'm not even familiar with a lot of his other credits. But yeah, Bye Bye Birdie and Annie. Do you hear it when you listen to the scores? Do you hear the
knowing now that it's both that he did both? I sense the overlap when you compare Telephone to Hard Knock Life.
Yep.
Although Annie has, I know this might be strange because I have no musical training, but Annie to me, especially Hard Knock Life, seems to have more of like a driving drum, like percussive sound to it, where Bye Bye Birdie has more horn and brassy sound to it.
Okay.
I might be remembering wrong, but just burning through the songs in my head real fast and thinking of like Sun Will Come Up Tomorrow compared to What Did I Ever See in Him. Bye Bye Birdie feels more mature for sure.
Yeah.
I sense an overlap.
I can hear there's a song in Annie that Warbucks sings. I'm trying to place the name of it. I've worked this show and done shows, like I've seen the show 45,000 times, seen the movie 45,000 times, done the show once, going to do the show again, and I'm drawing a blank on Warbucks' song. But his solo.
I Don't Need Anything But You.
No, that's the one he sings with Annie. There's the one he sings all by himself.
Okay, sorry.
Something was
missing.
Continue. Something was missing. That's what it was. Something was missing. He sings it to Annie. And I hear Something Was Missing. I hear a little bit of Talk to Me. The Albert song, Talk to Me. Not the quartet part of it, but just sort of the melody. As like I can hear that there. There's some composers, you can hear such a resemblance. Like when I listened to the first time I listened to Ragtime, I went, oh, this is the guy who did Seussical. Like, I knew it. I knew it. I was 99% sure, and then I checked it, and I was right, because I'm brilliant. This, I don't know if I would have been able, I don't know if I would have been able to place it. I don't know if they're that distinctively similar, which is cool. That's awesome for the composer to have, that versatility.
Maybe that's why his other shows fail. It's like, just give us Annie or Bye Bye Birdie again. Stop giving us this like diversity in your music. Right? All right, come on. It's not what the people want. Why is there nothing but accordions in this number? No one likes it. I don't know why that's the character I chose for making or breaking Broadway shows. Oh, it's a good character.
No, okay. You're probably right. Like, so we only have a little bit of time left. I'd love to hear, favorite scene, favorite line. I have a favorite line in the show for sure.
Oh, what's the favorite line? I'm curious.
In Kids, McAfee says he has these little interjection lines in between the lyrics. Kids, what's wrong with these kids today? And then he has these things that he just the lines that he speaks, and one of them is, I didn't know what puberty was till I was almost past it. And it's such a funny line that, like, I mean, I've seen a couple different Harry McAfees. Some were strong comedic actors, some were not. But that line, any way you say that line is hilarious. That's just a funny line. That's just a funny thing to say. Amazing. Yeah. Do you have any like that stick out? Like
I very often think of Talk to Me the song Albert sings through the phone with the quartet behind him to Rosie.
Yeah.
I very often think about that because I have communication problems where issues in my life where I'm overly communicative until it's something super personal, and then I have to be like, I'm trying to talk to you. I know I'm normally a clown, but this clown just would love to talk to you right now. So I hum "Talk to Me" a lot in my head when I'm like, this isn't a therapy session. I mean this in the good nature it's meant to be, where it's like, hey, just talk to me. Let's not fight.
Yeah.
Please just talk to me, dog. And then of course put on a happy face is always a fun
Another number that I would have loved to be in, and of course didn't feature the character I played, damn it. But
suddenly Kim comes out and start dancing. What's this all about?
I always snuck into the rehearsals for that number though, because I loved seeing that number get put together. In our production, it was one of my very good friends, probably one of my longest friends too. His name's Jim. We've been friends. I think we met in a show a couple of years before we were in Bye Bye Birdie together. Very, very dear friend. And he was absolutely wonderful. And he's very Dick Van Dyke, as I imagine you probably were too. Just some little
I would like to hope
Dick
so,
Van Dyke-isms that you threw in there.
Absolutely.
He did that very much too, and was just darling in that number. Like, I just loved watching it because of the dancing, but also he was just such an enjoyable person in that number. And I wanted to be one of the sad girls in it, but then of course I had to be the one, the silly little ingenue trying to find herself and being awkward. But yeah, that I only have one other favorite, I don't even want to say favorite, more of just something that I'll never be able to forget. And this probably backs us up a little bit to our discussion about production aspects with tech and things like that. There's the number that Kim performs with when she it's called How Lovely to Be a Woman. And the staging of it is that she's changing from an outfit into the way she's singing, you'd expect her to be changing into a girly, showing off her figure outfit sort of thing, and going out trying to look cute. But she's singing about being a woman and doing all these mature things, like staying out till 10 and doing whatever I want and going out with boys and all this stuff. And she's changing into sweats and a big baggy shirt, and she ends with putting this sideways little baseball cap on her head. So it's and it's absolutely adorable. Well, on our production, as I mentioned before, Kim's bedroom was on the second level. So the stage is raised, and then we have a second level above that. So I had my staging for getting dressed during this song while singing was the most unnatural way to change clothes ever. And I remember thinking I had to be careful about bending this way and bending this way because everyone was looking upward. And it was just,
oh my goodness, yeah.
I remember talking to the director, and it's does anyone get dressed this way? And he said, and I remember telling him, I said, I'm 21. I'm comfortable if I need to be in my, a slip or something for 2 seconds. I'm comfortable with that. And he says, yeah, but the audience won't be comfortable with that. So where I was okay. So it ended up being really goofy and funny that it's I don't know if anyone was actually listening to my song. I think they were more just trying to figure out what is she what is she doing? Who gets dressed like
Before
that?
she can stay out till 10, this girl needs to learn how to dress herself.
Right.
Get the parents in here. Get Mrs. McAfee in here.
So it was just it was I don't know, when I think of my memories from that production, that I feel that always just stays right in front. Remember that really weird way I had to get dressed?
I have so many fond memories of that show.
Yeah.
The cast, the crew, the behind the scenes drama, the giving it my all, getting to dance. I just have a very big place in my heart for that show.
Yeah. Well, then it's
for this show.
Then it's a really good thing that we discussed this one together for this
Thank
episode.
Thank you for having me on for this. I'm glad that we could do a little crossover. I would love to invite you over to the Studio Demands It and have some fun. I hinted at what I would do if I had you on the show. So maybe your listeners could head on over there and check you out on that eventually.
For sure. That would be awesome. Well, okay, so I think we're going to wrap things up here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And thank you, TC, for joining me here. Yeah. So if anyone's interested in following my cute little theater in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, we are known as the Box Theater Company. We do have an Instagram and Facebook page under that name. Go ahead and check us out there, and hopefully you'll see some production photos of our Bye Bye Birdie production sometime in the next few years when we finally get out of the COVID after times and can get along with it. So I think that'll do it for today. Thank you again, TC, for joining me. And
thank you. I'll do a quick plug for
please do,
Studio
please do.
Demands It. If you want to listen to myself and Jim, it's a screenwriting podcast where we someone gives us a demand, and on the spot we have to conceptualize and pitch a film. We have to come up with a full film based on whatever restrictions or demands are given to us. And I'm going to have Allison on, and we are going to do a musical.
Woo!
So.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Yay. All right. Well, thank you again so much for listening to our conversation here on A Broadway through Broadway. And that's our final bow, blackout, and curtain.